Well, it's Sunday morning, and that means two significant things. One, the newest, most brilliant episode of Toy Man has gone up this morning. And two, I'm on my way down to Steve's to play with trains. Steve's Railroad has become kind of the hangout for the O-scale guys, my friends and I, to go down there every Sunday morning. It's become our tradition. And we go down there and play with trains and hang out and talk treason and all the various things that we do. Steve has added a new section to the railroad down there. It's kind of part of the city of Tabiona, the port city of Tabiona, and he built a new street there. And on that new street, he's built a hotel, the Bradford Hotel. It's really quite cool. So let's go take a look at that. The bustling cosmopolis of Tabiona is the hub city on Steve's Railroad. Steve's Railroad is called the Rio Grand and Pacific because on Steve's Railroad, the Denver and Rio Grande Western made it all the way to the Pacific Ocean, which is actually what they intended to do all along. Therefore, on his railroad, they made it, and they're here at the Pacific. Modeling a waterfront scene is always a lot of fun, but then Colorado narrow gauge is an awful lot of fun. So how do you decide? Well, you do what Steve did. You run your Colorado narrow gauge railroad all the way to the Pacific and then build a wonderful port. He also puts a lot of detail into the railroad and lights it so that it looks great at night, too. Steve's Railroad is also rich with all kinds of personalities. There's people here, but the people have personalities, and their position in the scene tells an entire story. Also, he models tons and tons of buildings. That really gives it depth. It makes it feel like a real city. And check the detail here. He's got a guy repairing the elevator in this building. Recently, Steve added a new street to the city, and it has a great hotel.
Well, it was just a design preservation kit that got put together, and it has all of its associated problems with design preservation kits. And I got the problems worked out and started putting the interior in it, and it's evolved into a hotel. Old polyester buildings, and it was all warped and twisted, and it's still warped and twisted, but I got some of the warp and twist out. I have to lay it on a cookie sheet and set it in the oven for, I think it's 150 for 20 or 30 minutes, and that softens the polyester, and then you put weights on it, and that supposedly flattens the walls out.
Not a lot of model railroaders put full interiors in their building, but Steve does on most of his, and Alan loves doing the same thing, and I have to confess certain love of doing that myself. It just adds a lot of fun to building the building. It's sort of like dollhouse miniatures. People say, gee, this stuff looks just like a dollhouse, to which I would say, oh, well, thank you. One of the things I enjoy most about model railroading is it just isn't model railroading. It's all kinds of different things, and you can be all over the place. And building furniture to put in your buildings is really, really fun.
Most of those pieces were scratch built between Alan and myself. There's a few little commercial things, some of the beds and some of the stuff is dollhouse furniture, but probably 80% of the stuff is scratch built.
Dollhouses are usually built in 1/12 scale. 1 inch equals 1 foot. This stuff is 1/4 that size. 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. So there's not a lot of stuff available from the dollhouse manufacturers, but there is some, because some people like to do dollhouses in these really small sizes. But then again, who cares? Because building it yourself is really the essence. It's really the funnest thing, is when you can sit down and build your own little chair or your own little table and sideboard and lamp and vase with flowers in it, or whatever the heck it is you're building. We also populate the scenes with lots of people. Now, there's a lot of figures available, but generally speaking, we either radically alter the figures, or in my case, I like to get in there and actually sculpt the figures from scratch. To me, that's a lot of fun. Here again, the essence of model railroading to me is its incredible diversity. I mean, you get to sculpt little human beings and stick them in your scene. The finished building turned out super, super cool. It looks so great on this new street. The backside of the building is also incredibly detailed, and the backside leads right up onto the tracks. Steve reworked the tracks back here and built a little engine facility. There was an engine facility there before, but now it just screamed out saying, oh, you really need to do more back here, because this is a really cool spot. So he added some new little structures to the engine facility and a new water tank. Of course, populated it with a bunch of fun people that all sort of project a certain sort of story. Just makes the whole scene really come to life. Well, when people are visiting the fine, fine city of Tabiona on Steve's Railroad, while they're staying at the Bradford Hotel, they probably want to get a bite to eat, and there's no restaurant in the hotel. So Steve built a diner, a classic little diner, right behind the hotel so that they have a place to go eat. Let's check that out too while we're here. The diner is your classic 1930s diner built out of a railroad car. It's called Kelly's Diner, and it's populated with all kinds of patrons that like to come over here to the diner. Now, some may be patrons at the hotel. Probably most are people just from the neighborhood here. Each of these things adds a little bit of challenge, whether it's modeling ketchup and mustard bottles or the cook area. It's just new challenges and a lot of fun. It's really fun to plan these things out when you're planning your city, what things are really going to be necessary. This way, when visitors come to your town, they have a nice hotel to stay at and a diner to eat at. And now you have a fully functional little village. But most importantly, you've been screwing around on a massive level and just having a really great time, just like Steve is doing here. Well, there you go, the Bradford Hotel on Steve's Rio Grand and Pacific Railroad. That's always a lot of fun. Steve's Railroad is always a lot of fun. It's just really cool how so many of his buildings have full interiors. If you haven't been over to the channel, pop on over there. The link is right down here. If you're on YouTube, it says Toyman Television. You can subscribe from there. A blue button's about to appear right in here that says subscribe, and that'll do the exact same thing. All you'd have to do is click on it. I'm not sure how you found this particular movie on the internet. I sure hope you didn't find it boring. And I'll see you here again next Sunday with another fine example of screwing around. I'll see you then. Bye.